Welcome everyone, it's Sierra Nova here, and here I am with a new series called Let's Talk Ships. With this series, I'm basically just going to dissect and really try to examine couples and ships to the best of my abilities. Whether they're anime, popular, unpopular, or just bad matchups, we're going to get to the bottom of it. And in this particular case, we're going to look at Krillin and 18 from Dragon Ball Z. Now I get that Dragon Ball Z is a shonen anime and it doesn't really focus on romance like that, but I will say that while there are definitely a few ships that I think are lacking in Z, I don't think that this ship is lacking too much. In my opinion, I think Krillin and 18 are one of the better couples, and let's start getting into why. Okay, so let's get into their backgrounds. Let's start with Krillin. Now, not too much is known about Krillin besides that he was a monk from Orin Temple, and I think he trained there for 8 years according to Dragon Ball Wiki. Apparently, Krillin was there since he was 4, and he got bullied because he was the weakest student. At the age of 13, he got tired of this lifestyle, tired of getting bullied, and he began to travel to Master Roshi's island for training to overturn things, and of course, attract the ladies. So I'd say that Krillin has a pretty normal background compared to Goku, who started off as an evil alien until he bumped his head and turned good. Now let's get into Android 18. 18's background is slightly darker. Like, she was originally a human named Lazuli, and she has a twin brother whose name was Lapis. They were notorious for being delinquents, and apparently Dr. Gero met them by chance one day as he was looking for something experiment-worthy. Unfortunately, Dr. Gero kidnapped them and used them to fuel his never-ending vendetta against Goku, turning them into androids. Now, for those that don't know, Dr. Gero is from Dragon Ball and has been an enemy to Goku since then. He's been trying to get at Goku forever, and each attempt was continuously unsuccessful. I mean, if it was me, I would have stopped. Like, if I can't defeat someone as a kid, then I'm not gonna let that go into adulthood. But whatever, he did what was best for him and tried everything possible. If nothing else, Dr. Gero was definitely persistent. Even past death, I'll give him that. So how exactly did they meet? Let's get to the juicy stuff. So, for starters, Krillin and 18 were enemies and met during the Android saga. And I must say that I really like couples that start off as enemies and make their way to lovers. I love seeing the progression behind that. Maybe that's just me, or maybe that's something other people are kind of drawn to as well. So anyway, during the Android saga, Future Trunks is introduced to us, and he basically doesn't want to see another timeline destroyed, so he time travels to the present to warn the others. And because of this warning, the Z fighters in the present timeline are able to prepare themselves for the androids, and they're able to train. Eventually, Krillin and 18 meet in the midst of a brawl between Vegeta and 18, and he is absolutely terrified of her. I guess 18 finds this cute and or amusing, and she toys with him by giving him a kiss on the cheek. Obviously, 18 meant nothing by it, but Krillin was heavily influenced by that kiss. So much so that it would play a massive role in a lot of things to come, including falling in love with the very thing that was programmed to kill his best friend. Weird, right? Not gonna lie, that part is a bit crazy to me, and he even goes as far as to destroy the remote that Bulma later creates during the Cell saga. Bulma created this to get rid of Cell because it turned out that the androids weren't the only threat. There was also Cell, who was another product of Dr. Gero, and Cell could absorb the twin androids in order to achieve his imperfect and perfect Cell forms. Again, Cell is another attempt on Dr. Gero's behalf to end Goku. And what's interesting about this is that Future Trunks wasn't yet aware of Cell in his timeline, so it was nice to see how his actions of time travel impacted and changed things. Anyway, keep in mind that Krillin has been a friend of Goku, our protagonist, since they were children. They are quite literally childhood friends, and I'm pretty sure that they are best friends, even as adults. And yet, Krillin legit struggled to destroy this remote. 18 didn't understand it either, nor did Future Trunks, but I'd like to think that Krillin maybe saw some good in her, or maybe he figured he was doing something Goku would do. Or for some reason, Krillin really didn't want anything bad to happen to 18, even if she was created to kill Goku. Krillin could have felt sorry for her and felt like no one deserved the fate of being forcibly absorbed. I'm not sure honestly, but his efforts certainly didn't stop there. For example, during the Cell saga, Krillin protected 18's unconscious form after she was regurgitated by Cell, and then later on, after everything was concluded with Cell, Krillin tried to make a wish to turn 18 and 17 back into humans. However, that wasn't within Shenron's capabilities, so Krillin settled for removing the bombs out of their bodies instead. What's admirable is that Krillin thought that 17 and 18 were a couple, yet still tried to do something nice for them anyway. Granted, Krillin didn't know that 18 was watching this whole interaction, nor did he know that she was there on the lookout in the first place. So he ended up admitting his feelings for her, not knowing that she was there. Anyway, 18 not only declared that she wasn't interested in him, but she corrected Krillin and told him that 17 was her twin brother and not a romantic interest. Even after all that confusion and not understanding Krillin's intentions, 18 did thank Krillin for his efforts and everything that he did. and everything that Krillin did do kinda has me feeling like maybe his feelings weren't as shallow as they seemed. Like, why else would someone go that far for someone and not be in love or at least sure about their feelings? I mean, something else that could play a role in why Krillin felt so strongly about 18 is that Krillin really didn't have much luck with women in the first place. Like, we've only really seen him with Marin, and since that failed, Krillin hasn't really been shown much attention, and I think that's something to consider as well. Like, loving someone or feeling strong feelings towards someone will really have you doing some things you wouldn't normally do. I'm gonna rule that this is a really great ship. Honestly, even though it seemed slightly illogical at first, especially on Krillin's part, I really think that 18 had a pretty normal response to Krillin, and I think that's what made this ship so great and made up for that. Like, 18 didn't immediately return his feelings or fall at Krillin's feet because he did a few nice things for her. Plus, I never thought that that was an 18's character anyway. Like, unlike Goku and Chi-Chi, Krillin and 18 have a lot of development. It kept progressing, and it's actually somewhat romantic. With Goku and Chi-Chi, it started off a bit rough and still seems very rough due to Dragon Ball Super. Like, I feel like Dragon Ball Super undid a lot of the tiny amount of development that Chi-Chi and Goku had by regressing Goku and making it seem as if he still doesn't understand what it is to be romantic. Like, Goku legit didn't know what a kiss was, and that's very sad because Goku started off not knowing what marriage is and he thought it was food years back. And now, even as an adult, he still doesn't understand what a kiss is. In my opinion, Goku should have not married Chi-Chi at that tournament, especially when he didn't recognize or remember her. He should have just apologized and offered to make it up to her, but then Chi-Chi is so upset, prideful, and embarrassed that she wants nothing to do with him because she feels humiliated. Then maybe they go their separate ways, and later on they cross paths where Goku has to save Chi-Chi or something, and she lets that go and becomes a part of his group. And then from there, maybe things can pick up on a more romantic level, and then they can get married and work towards that. Instead of progressing and then regressing and literally ending up in the same position they started in, with Goku not knowing much of anything about marriage. Goku and Chi-Chi are definitely one of my least favorite ships in Z, and I'd argue that Bulma and Vegeta are a lot better than Goku and Chi-Chi. Sure, it also doesn't make sense that Bulma invited Vegeta to live with her after he killed Yamcha, but we see clear development between the two over time at least, especially with Vegeta. Vegeta has massive character development, and I feel like that makes up for their weird and slightly illogical start. Anyway, back to Krillin and 18, we kinda see this in 18 as well. Like, it didn't take long for 18 to come around compared to Vegeta, but we see that she's less standoffish, she even becomes a mother, and then we're also able to see clear moments where she clearly cares for Krillin, not only in Z, but in Super as well. So where exactly does Krillin and 18 fall for you guys? How do you feel about the ship? Do you feel like it's a yay or nay? Do you still think Krillin was wrong in the beginning for destroying the remote? Leave it down below in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Sierra Nova is out.